Hi, welcome to programmerblog.net. Today in this tutorial we are going to explore that how we can use jQuery to perform an AJAX request and fetch data from database. jQuery is a very popular JavaScript library that is used to perform different tasks very easily. And AJAX is one of the feature that we can perform using jQuery. AJAX stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML, and it uses XML HTTP request object to perform the AJAX request. Using AJAX, we can update whole or a part of our web page, and this will not only reduce the traffic between our client and server, but also it will reduce the load on the server. So we are going to use jQuery's get method to send a request to the server, and server will respond with the JSON encoded array of data, and on client side we'll pass that JSON array and display data to the user. So first let me show you what we are going to build today. Here you can see a page that has a button fetch records, and when a user clicks this button it will send a request to the server, and server will respond with data, and that data will be displayed on this page. So I have opened a Firebug over here in the bottom, and so we can see that when a request is sent to the server. So let me show you how this works. So when a user clicks this button, so as you can see, clicking the button has fetched records from the database, and in the bottom here you can see an AJAX request was posted to the server, and server responded with a JSON data array, and this JSON array is is passed, and the data is displayed on the page. So here you can see. So let me refresh this page so we can perform this again. So I click on this button, and you can see here we are getting the data. In my PHP, my admin, I have a database named dbusers, and in this database I have a table called users. When I click this users table, you can see I have the same data in this table that we are seeing in this page. So this table has columns first name, last name, and email. So let us start building this from scratch. So first we are going to create a database named dbusers, and then we'll create a table for the users and insert some sample data into that table. I hope you have already installed PHP and MySQL on your computer using WAMP or XAMPP. So open your PHP MyAdmin into the browser, and here you can see I am clicking on the new, and I'm going to create a new database over here. I'm going to name this database as db users and click on create. So we have created our db users database. So now in this database we have to create a new table called users. The table name is users, and it will have 4 columns. So first we'll start with ID column. It will be an integer, and it will be an auto increment and a primary key. And next we'll have first underscore name will be a varchar, and I will keep it as, for example, 200 characters. Last underscore name, this will be a varchar, and also it will be 200 characters. Last column would be email, this will also be a character, and it will have 200 characters width. So let me save this. So our table users has been created. Let me insert some sample data into this table. I have clicked SQL, and I have some sample queries, so I will just post it over here, and you can see I have 4 records that I'm just going to insert into this table. So let me pause the table, and you can see we have some records in our users table. Now let us start the coding part and go to the www or www root folder of your MAMP or WAMP installation, and create a new folder over here. You can name it whatever you like, but I will name it as AJAX jQuery. After creating this folder, let us open this in an editor. I am using Sublime Text, and you can use editor of your choice, whether you are going to use Dreamweaver or Eclipse or any editor you like. So I am going to use Sublime Text. So let us open this folder inside Sublime Text. I'm just going to drag this, and I have opened this. I am going to create a file index.php over here that will display a button to fetch the data from the server. To save some time, I'm just going to paste HTML and JavaScript code for this page, and this code will display a button on the page, and clicking on that button will send a request to the server and fetch records from database. This is a very simple page, and as you can see, here is HTML tag. Inside HTML I have a head tag and with the title, and after title I have defined my style and simple CSS styles. I have a body tag, and I'm using the font family Verdana, and then I have a class container that has a width of 50% and margin of 0 and auto. And after this container class, I have defined some rules for the table row, table heading, and the TD tag. So after the style sheets, I have closed my head tag, and inside body tag there is a div that is assigned a class container, and inside this container div we have a heading 3 with some message to the users, then a paragraph tag, and after paragraph tag I have a div whose ID is records. Actually this div has no HTML or data inside this, but this div will be used to display the data that server will return. After records div, we have defined a button whose ID is get users and value is fetch records. And after the container div, I have a script tag where we include jQuery from code.jquery.com CDN, and after that we have some jQuery code that I explain to you. So in this script tag, you can see I have dollar sign. Dollar sign is known as jQuery object, and we can access jQuery methods and properties of the HTML elements using this dollar sign. And inside this dollar sign, I have defined a function. This function actually, this dollar and then parentheses, and inside that we have defined a function. This actually tells our browser that perform all these actions that are defined inside this code block till here after the whole page is loaded. So after this dollar sign function block, inside this I have defined another I have defined that get user. This is, as you know, this is ID of our button. So I have defined that I've used an on method of jQuery, that whenever this button is clicked, a clicked event is performed on this button, then run this function. So whenever we want to access some HTML element based on the ID, so we have to use hashtag in front of this. So jQuery will know that it has to search an HTML element that has an ID of get users. So when this get users button will be clicked, click event will fire, and inside this function we have defined another jQuery method, that is $.ajax. Inside $.ajax we have defined some parameters that we are going to use method get. We are going to send this request to a PHP page whose name is getRecords_ajax.php, and after this request is completed, this .done method will be called, and inside .done we have defined an anonymous function, and this function receives this data parameter. Actually this data parameter is sent by server, and we parse this data, as this data will be a JSON encoded array from the server. We parse using jQuery's Parse JSON function and assign this to a variable called result. After parsing the data returned from the server, next we have created a string, and we are creating a string, and inside that string you can see I have defined a table with 100% div, a tier, and the header tags with the hash sign, name and email. And after that you can see there is another jQuery function we are using, that is we are looping through the data returned by server using .each method. So .each will take this result variable, and inside this function it will give us the key and the value of each row of the data returned by the server. And inside this loop I am concatenating the data row with this string variable that we have defined over here. and as you can see I have used plus equal to, and this will actually concatenate all the incoming all the data inside this loop. So as you can see I have defined a table row, table data cell, and inside that I am displaying over here ID of the users, and then I'm displaying first name and the last name in the second table cell, and next I'm displaying the email of the user. As the loop finishes, inside this string variable I have just added the ending table tag, and inside this loop all the data will be concatenated and added as table rows. And here I am using jQuery's $, and I'm accessing $records. I have a div whose ID is records, so I am accessing that div over here with a hash symbol, and I'm using .html method of jQuery. This method actually will replace this string inside this div, and this will display the records to the users. So let me save this code and run this page in the browser, and so please type the URL of this page, localhost/AJAX jQuery, and press enter. So you can see this page that we have just created, and it has a button over here, fetch records, and now we have to code our PHP page that will receive this request from this client side, and will fetch records from database and encode it into a JSON array and send it back to the client. So I am going to open Sublime Text, and here I will add a new page, a new file, and I will name this as get records underscore ajax.php, and I will save this. So in this page we'll add the code to fetch records from database. So again, to save some time, I'm just going to paste some code over here, and I will explain this. We have defined a host name that is localhost, a user name that is root, and a password. I have password root, so you can use whatever password your local database has, and the database name is db users. And next I have defined a result array, and I am going to use MySQL. MySQL is a PHP extension that is used to perform different tasks on database, and this extension is recommended by web development community to use, as this supports prepared statements, multi queries, and some other cool features it has. So MySQL function takes $host, username, password, and the database name, and if the database connection is successful, it will return us a connection object inside this $con. For some reason, if database connection is not successful, then an error will be thrown over here and script will stop. After database connection, we have defined a query inside $SQL variable, select ID, first underscore name, last underscore name, and email from users. This query is passed to $cons query function, and this query method returns us a result set, and that we have saved it in $result variable. After the query is executed and a result set is returned, so inside this if condition we check that if there are some rows in the result set, and we use this fetch underscore sos function to fetch a single row from the result set and assign that row of data to this $row variable. This method returns a data row as an associative array. As this method returns a single row at a time, so we are using a while loop over here that will execute till we get all the rows from this result set, and inside this while loop we are using a function array underscore push. So the first argument that we have passed over here is $result underscore array. That is an array that we have declared over here, and we are pushing each data row to this this array, and so inside this loop all the rows will be pushed to this result underscore array. As the loop finishes, next we have used this JSON underscore encode function to encode this array as a JSON, and we have used this echo construct. This will send this JSON encoded array to the client, and the last line over here we have closed our database connection. So let us save this page and see in the browser how it works. So let me open the browser, and as you can see our page over here, and I have also opened my Firebug over here, so we can see when request is sent to the server. So I'm just going to click this button. So you can see we have got records from the database using AJAX. So here you can see our request that is sent to the server, and here is the response returned from the server, and it is a JSON encoded array, and that contains the first name, last name, and email of each the user that we entered as sample data into our database over here. So let me clear this and refresh the page. So let us do this once more. So as you can see, I click this button and a request is sent to the server, and server returns us a data as a JSON encoded array, and we pass this JSON encoded array and display it to the user. So this concludes this video, and I hope you have enjoyed watching this. Please leave your comments and feedback, and you can find the example source code used in this tutorial by visiting the link given in the description of this video. Thanks again for watching, and goodbye.